Good morning or good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for the 2018 Symposium on Collegiate Financial Wellbeing and 2018 NASPA Closing the Achievement Gap Conference Presenter Orientation. My name is Robert Valderrama, and I'm serve as Assistant Director of Educational Programs, and I'm joined by my colleague Jake Frazier, who also serves as an Assistant Director of Educational Programs here at NASPA. For our agenda today, we'll be covering a few topics that will aid you in having a smooth transition on site. But first, we'd be remiss if we did not offer a huge congratulations to each of you for your program submission. Once again, we received a large number of high quality submissions, and yours represented the best of the best. We're excited to have you join us and hope the information we'll be sharing today will prove very useful. We've included the program schedule at a glance here for you with our educational workshops highlighted in yellow. You should have received an email already with your date/time of your presentation. Something new we're doing this year is offering extended learning sessions overlapping with concurrent sessions. So what this means is that attendees will have the chance to choose between 1 2-hour sessions or 2 1-hour sessions during specific time blocks. Our goal is to provide opportunities for those individuals with in-depth and/or advanced content to share and have an extended opportunity to engage with our participants. Furthermore, this will truly give folks a chance to take deep dives into content, while some other folks may prefer shorter, more varied sessions. A unique aspect of this co-located event is that the registrants from either conference can attend sessions for both the events. This means that while the majority of your audience will likely be from your respective program, it is likely you will have individuals from the other event attend your session. In addition, our program schedule has been created in such a way to allow attendees to attend plenary sessions like panels or keynotes, or concurrent breakout sessions based upon their interests. We wanted to share with you, if you have not already seen, our keynote speakers for the event, so you have some sense of who will be joining us in Columbus and adding to the great content each of you will be sharing. We're thrilled to welcome these 3 fantastic speakers to these events. In addition, we will host a few panels during the co-located events, which will bring additional highlighted speakers as well.
Great, thanks, Rob. I wanted to talk a little bit about developing your content for each of you. So whether or not you are a first-time presenter at a NASPA conference, or this will be your 50th conference that you're going to present about, we want to just share some reminders for each of you, so that way as you spend the next few weeks and months developing your content and your presentations, you'll be able to kind of make the most out of your time in Columbus. So the first thing is that we want to make sure that you all implement the feedback that you received from your program reviewers. You should have a link from the initial email that either Rob or I sent to you with a link to access that. And so be sure to check that out, see if any of the reviewers had any kind of constructive feedback for you to implement into your program. Second, we want to be sure that you kind of allow time for your audience to engage throughout the session, especially if you are doing one of these kind of extended learning sessions, so the 2-hour events. Again, the Closing the Achievement Gap Conference and the Symposium on Financial Wellbeing are really meant to kind of create dialogue and support networks for you all. And so as a presenter, it's going to be your job to kind of create that space for people so they can not only hear from you and your best practices, but also have a space to meet and engage with other colleagues who are doing the same type of work. Probably most importantly is really thinking about being intentional with your designated content level. So you all should have received an email from, again, Rob or I, with all of your program information, so abstract, title, etc., and then kind of what you designated as your content level, so whether it's foundational, intermediate, or advanced content. And we really want you to stick to that. If you need to change your content level as your program starts to shift and shape as you make it, please be sure to let us know, because our attendees actually make their decisions on which programs to attend based off of this information. So it's really important that as you start to finalize your materials, you either update us or what have you, so that way we can make sure that we're kind of denoting your program correctly in the program book for folks. Next, as you think through your program type, be intentional with what that means. We've got 3 different kind of program styles, so 2-hour sessions, 1-hour sessions, and then kind of 20 to 30-minute sessions, these toolbox ones at the end. And so really be thoughtful about how you're going to use that time, whether you'll be presenting the whole time, whether you'll have some breakouts. Perhaps for a 2-hour session, you have some time for a break, you really want to think through how you'll be able to A, get your content across, but then B, ensure that your attendees are kind of engaged throughout. Finally, it's going to be important for you to kind of upload your presentation materials into the archive. At least a week before the program is when we ask for that to be done. Again, you'll have a link in this in your initial acceptance email, but many of our attendees like to build their schedule ahead of time by looking at A, your program, and then B, what content you will be sharing. And then as you think about your program abstract, we really want you all to be mindful of whether or not it is cohesive with kind of the way that your program is shifting. So what that means is that if you initially submitted your content to talk about peanut butter and jelly, but now you're going to be talking about grilled cheeses, it's really important that you share those edits with us, because again, it's really disappointing for our attendees when they look at a program book, find an abstract that they really like, and then the session doesn't necessarily match. So as you start to have any edits or your program changing, please just let either Rob or I know about that so we can get that updated appropriately. As a reminder, any and all changes will actually have to be received by April 13th. So you've got about 3 weeks or so to kind of make any major changes. And that is because we actually send our program book information to the printers relatively early. And so in order to make sure that that content is accurate on site, that will be helpful for you. And I see that there are some questions coming in now, so we will respond to those at the end. So when you arrive on site in Columbus, there's going to be a few things that you should be aware of to kind of ease your transition as you get set up. So first of all, you already should have received your program date and time, and you can expect to receive an additional confirmation email about a week before the event, which will include your whole kind of program information. So it'll have date, time, abstract title, etc. And then we'll also include the room assignment that your room is in. That process takes a little bit longer, and so you'll know before you arrive to the Hilton in Columbus what room you're presenting in. So if you'd like to take a look at it beforehand, you certainly can do that. One final reminder about Wi-Fi is we get this question often. While we will have Wi-Fi in the hotel for our event space, that Wi-Fi is not often super strong or reliable sometimes in our breakout spaces. And so if you're thinking about including any type of videos or online content, be thoughtful about how you can download some of those things beforehand and embed them into your presentation or come prepared with them in some other fashion. The last thing you want to do is, have your presentation rely on a YouTube video and you can't get online. So feel free to reach out to Rob or I if you have questions about how you can kind of get some of that content off the internet into your presentation. Additionally, laptops, speakers, clickers, and adapters are not provided, since unfortunately we will not have enough for all 100 presenters. So be thoughtful about this as well as you start your packing for Columbus. You can either rent something from your campus or go purchase it yourself. Now we will have a few, and by a few I mean 2 or 3, kind of backup adapters should something not work for you as you get your presentation set up. But for the most part, you should plan on kind of bringing all of those things yourselves. For our breakout rooms, each of them can accommodate between 30 and 45 people in theater style seating. And we will have a select number of rooms that will have round tables. And so if you're curious about what your room setup is going to look like, please just let Rob or I know. It's difficult to anticipate which sessions are going to be popular during particular times. So if, when you get to site, you find that your room is, bursting at the seams, right? People are sitting on the floor or standing up. We ask that you please just close the doors to signal to individuals that the session is full. Remember, the sessions will be uploaded to the archive, and so while folks may not be able to see it right then and there in Columbus, they will be able to access it after the fact. If you're planning on bringing any type of printed materials or what have you, and you're curious about how many to bring, I would say a safe bet is 40, assuming that, people go to rooms evenly, but I think that 40 should probably cover your bases. Finally, we have a few reminders for everybody. So probably the biggest reminder right now is that the early bird deadline is actually ending next Friday. So you all have a week left to kind of get that early bird rate, which is cheaper than the regular rate. So as a reminder, everybody does have to be registered for the conference. Unfortunately, we're not able to offer any type of subsidized registration or anything for presenters. So if you have specific questions about that, again, please let Rob and I know. You have until May 10th to book your hotel room at the Hilton at the group rate. So again, that's that reduced rate that we have as a conference group. So please make sure that you do that as well. In your emails that you've received from Rob and I, you should have a link to submit any type of program edits. So again, please take a minute to review that and make sure that your program title, presenter names, titles, institutions, and your abstract are all accurate. If they're not, all you have to do is just go to that Google form and submit any edits, and we'll be sure to take care of that for you. And then finally, as mentioned before, please just upload your information to the NASPA archive. In your confirmation email, you should have received a link to that archive as well as a PowerPoint template to use. And that is it. So we want to give some upcoming dates for you all listed here, and then also have some time to respond to some of the questions that have come in. And then if you have any questions, you can feel free to submit them. So
actually, hey, Jake. I have a couple of questions that all kind of relate to toolbox sessions. So to kind of give folks a better understanding of our toolbox sessions, so they are 30 minutes in length, and during your toolbox session, you should present a session roughly for about 20 minutes of content. I saw there were some other questions that asked them what was the question? How interactive they should make this toolbox session. You can make it interactive, but it's kind of a blended model if you think of between a TED Talk but also a short and concurrent session. So be mindful of how long and how specific you want this interaction to be, because we want to make sure that our participants can walk away with some content that will be new to them that they can implement, whether it's in a new program or within their office structure. So just please be prepared to share ideas for 20 minutes and then leave about 10 minutes for questions and answers.
Yeah, I think that if you were to think about it in any other kind of fashion, it would probably be like a TEDx style presentation. Somebody asked how interactive it should be. You won't really have a ton of time for kind of audience engagement. And so while that will be important for some of our 60-minute or 120-minute sessions, for the toolbox sessions, it'll be a little less so. So I would say just think of it in that kind of TEDx style presentation. One other note before we break is that if you are confused because you have not received an email about any of your program content, this is likely because you were not the person that submitted your presentation. And so in each email that we send, we always send it to the coordinating presenter, meaning that individual that actually submitted your content. And then we make sure to ask them to forward it on to you all. So if you are looking for information about your program and you haven't heard from your colleague, we would ask that you reach out to them to see if they could forward that your way. If there aren't any other questions, you all obviously have Rob and I's email. Robert is the point person for anyone who's presenting for Closing the Achievement Gap. And then myself, I'm the person for the Financial Wellbeing Conference. So if you have any questions between now and May 31st, you can obviously email us. Again, this webinar will actually be recorded, and then we'll upload it and send it out either today or first thing next week. So you can share this with any of your colleagues that were unable to join us today and revisit it for some reminders and updates. Chantel, yes, there are template slides. You should have received those in your initial acceptance email. So just ask your coordinating presenter if you haven't seen it, and there's a link to download that. So Rob, if you don't have anything else, thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to seeing your sessions in Columbus.
Thank you all so much.